Morning, members. Please can I remind you to ensure mobile phones and other devices are on silent, that banners, etc. are not permitted, and members of the public are not allowed to address the meeting, to use the microphones which are available when addressing the meeting, and that you may be filmed or recorded during this meeting. Thank you. Please stand for the chairman. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Can I ask my chaplain, Reverend Russ Alding, to lead the prayers, please?
Let's pray. Almighty God, uncreated Creator and our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here today in service to the people of Nottinghamshire. We acknowledge your sovereignty over this council, this country, and every life we represent. Lord, we welcome your Holy Spirit into this meeting. Come and guide our discussions. Give us ears to hear, hearts to discern, and minds to understand what is right, just, and pleasing in your sight. May we not rely on our own wisdom, but seek your direction in every matter at hand. We pray for unity among us, even in our differences. Let your love and truth reign in this room. Grant each councillor boldness to speak with integrity and humility to listen with grace, and courage to lead with righteousness. Let this council be a place where justice flows like a river, where mercy and truth meet, and where the decisions are made not for personal gain, but for the good of all. We commit this meeting into your hands and declare that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Item 1, minutes. I ask Council to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. All those in favour? You have a query on the minutes. Can you come up?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and good morning. Can I just clarify on page 25 at the top there, in response to a question from Councillor Bestwick, the Cabinet Member for Finance is quoted in the book, and it may be that this is a correct record of what was said, or it may be that the record of what was said is incorrect, so I just want to clarify that. It says near the bottom of the top paragraph, why don't we look at the previous 4 years under the Conservatives, when borrowing stood at 446.9 million, which means borrowing increased by 68.9 million. In 2021 at the County Council, borrowing was 515.806 million, and by the time we left office in 24-25, it was 469.825, which is a reduction of 46 million. So I don't know if that is just the figures are wrong in the book, or that is exactly what Councillor Matthews says, which was incorrect. I just want to clarify that.
Thank you, Councillor. All I can say is that we're going to have to ask someone to clarify that. Thank you. With that clarification, when that clarification is made, I'm still have to ask, can you approve the minutes, please? So all those in favour with the clarification? All those against? Any abstentions? Item 2 is apologies for absence. I will now ask each group to provide any apologies, please. Ensure reasons for any apology are also provided. So, Councillor Martin Wright.
Thank you, Chairman. I have 3 apologies. Councillor Terry Cox for other reasons, Councillor Simon Wright for other reasons, and Councillor Richard Ward will have to leave after lunch. He has another a meeting arranged. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wheeler, do you have any apologies?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I have 2 apologies, Councillor Stephen Pearson and Councillor Roger Jackson for other reasons. Thank you.
Councillor Clooney, do you have any apologies?
Just for Councillor Clark is running late, he'll be here shortly.
Thank you. And Councillor Carr, do you have any apologies?
Councillor Wilmot's upstairs on a meeting still with the Police and Crime Commissioner, but will be joining us shortly.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Item 3, declarations of interest. If any councillor or officer has an interest in any matter on the agenda, you should declare it now. Please raise your hand now if you have an interest to declare.
Nobody has an interest.
Item 4, the chairman's business. The MG Award. Councillor Bert Bingham, can I ask you to introduce the award, please?
Excuse me. The County Council has a long history of working in partnership to deliver successful projects with and for the communities of Nottinghamshire. The Minor to Major Landscape Partnership Scheme was one such programme, led by the Council's conservation team and delivered with partners including other local authorities, nature conservation organisations, universities, community groups and Inspire. Launched in 2019 with funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the scheme delivered 13 projects over 5.5 years, all with community engagement, participation and empowerment at their heart. These provided opportunities for people to explore and investigate their local heritage, protect Sherwood's habitats and species, learn new skills and celebrate this special landscape through creative projects. The partners worked with former mining communities to open doors into the forest for people, including bringing children into their local landscape and providing grants to local organisations and groups. In June 2025, the achievements of the Council in delivering Minor to Major were recognised with a National Award for Community Engagement. The prestigious MJ Awards, organised by the Municipal Journal publication, celebrate excellence in local government in the UK. They attract a strong field of entries from local authorities across the country, so winning this award is a huge achievement for Nottinghamshire County Council and our partners. The judges were impressed by the scheme's ambition, the opportunities it offered for community engagement and empowerment, and the lasting legacy for local people. I am pleased to say that Janine Buckley, our Historic Environment Officer, who led on the delivery of some of the projects, is here with us today to receive the award from the Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bingham, for sharing the news of this award today. It is wonderful to receive national recognition for the excellent work of the Council in developing and delivering this scheme. I would like to congratulate the Conservation team for leading this work on behalf of the Council and everyone who was involved in the delivery of the Minor to Major Landscape Partnership Scheme. And now, I would now like to invite Janine Buckley, Historic Environment Officer, together with Councillor Bingham, to come up to the dais. It's now my duty to update the council on business undertaken since the last meeting. I held a meeting earlier this week with the group leaders and business managers to discuss how full council meetings currently run. We agreed that we want to create an environment in this chamber where everyone can contribute effectively to the debate and everyone feels safe to speak. We each have an individual and a collective responsibility to achieve this. I have talked many, many times about the Nolan principles. The first one being respect. And our constitution says other councillors will be respectful and not interrupt the councillor who is speaking. We have rules for the meeting to ensure it runs smoothly, efficiently and effectively, and we get the business done. But within that, members are able to express their views during a healthy debate. One of the most disruptive elements at recent meeting has been the use of points of order and points of personal explanation. They are both important roles within a debate when used properly. Points of order are where a procedural rule has not been followed. For example, paragraph 70. The council isn't speaking to the subject under discussion. The most commonly used points of order are printed on the council agenda for your reference. Points of personal explanation can include making a brief comment or asking a question designed to clarify a matter. They may not introduce new material or make a speech on the issue raised. With this in mind, I have decided that I will take the following approach to dealing with a request for a point of order or point of personal explanation going forward. A member wishing to raise either a point of order or point of personal explanation will raise their hand and indicate the relevant paragraph number from the Constitution. No further detail should be provided at this point. I will determine whether and when I will accept it and will advise the chamber of my decision. If I am allowing it, I may decide that it will be taken after the current speaker has finished to enable a better flow of debate. My decision on this will be final, and I will not accept any further discussion on my decision. There should be no dialogue between the member speaking and the member raising the point of order. Both should be speaking to me as chairman. I'm looking forward now to some good debates in this chamber today, and we have a busy agenda, so let's press on. I must let you all know that we will break for lunch at approximately 12:30 today. So I move on now to item 5, which is constituency issues. This item gives members who have previously given notice by the deadline the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes on any particular matter relevant to their constituencies or any particular issues arising in their electoral division, which is relevant to the services provided by the County Council. This is an opportunity simply to air these issues in the council meeting. It will not give rise to a debate on the issues or a question and answer session. Members are reminded that there is a maximum time limit of 15 minutes for this item, and each member may only speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Any speeches not heard in the time limit will fall and can be submitted again at a future meeting. We have 7 speeches today. I now call upon Councillor Stoll to speak regarding County Council infrastructure and flooding within your division.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. The Calverton division covers Calverton, Woodborough, Lamley and the east side of Gedling Village. These are proud rural communities with deep roots. Calverton, once a thriving pit village, lies in the valley of the Dover Beck and has become a commuter village, with many working in Nottingham and beyond. It is also linked with William Lee, the inventor of the knitting frame in 1589. His name lives on in the William Lee Memorial Park, still at the heart of the village. Our churches, St Wilfrid, St Swithin's, Holy Trinity and All Hallows are woven into the character of each community. But like many places, Madam Chair, these villages face the pressure of housing growth without matching infrastructure. I do recognise housing allocations are a Gedling Borough Council matter. However, I raise them here only because the County Council is left to provide the schools, roads and services that must support that growth. In Calverton, around 500 homes have been built since the turn of the decade, with more due by the end of this decade. The current plan allows for potentially up to 2,500 new houses. Woodborough and Lamley could see hundreds more, the latter almost doubled in size using greenbelt land. The impact is already clear. The Gravelly Hollow burnt stump junction with the A614 was closed nearly 20 years ago for safety reasons, but rather than being fixed, it was simply closed, forcing traffic onto narrow roads and then onto the busy A614. Bus services are limited, especially off-peak. In Lamley, residents regularly raise concerns about through traffic through the village, and this will get worse as development spreads. Schools are stretched. Manor Park Infant School in Calverton still relies on a porter cabin from the last century, and local primaries are at capacity, or nearing capacity. Colonel Frank Seeley Academy will soon feel the strain. The Calverton GP practice serves over 9,000 patients and is already pretty much full. I do welcome the recent NHS investment into the practice, which has created 7,500 extra appointments a year, but with growth continuing, more will be needed. In Calverton Centre, there are just 22 council-managed parking bays, shared by the doctor's surgery, shops, the library, post office, and other businesses. Streets are already under pressure, most especially at school drop-off times.
Councillor Stoll, 30 seconds.
And there is still no supermarket. Residents do travel to Arnold or elsewhere for their weekly shop. In Woodborough, new flood defences funded by the County Council last year are welcome, but residents do ask, with more development upstream, what else will need to be done? Madam Chair, we aren't NIMBYs. Growth is coming, but my division deserves an infrastructure-first approach. Roads, schools, health, drainage and retail in place before more houses arrive. That is the fair deal that our residents would expect. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor Orme to speak regarding continuing traffic issues at West Bridgeford Household Waste Recycling Centre.
Thank you, Madam Chair. West Bridgeford currently has a household waste recycling centre on Rugby Road that is well used by residents from my division and many other people from the town and the surrounding area. The location of this centre could be seen as convenient because it is so close to us. But in practice, it is in the wrong place to serve the needs of a community that is now much larger than when this centre was first opened. As service users and nearby residents will tell you, the centre is located on a road that is not able to cope with the number of vehicles wishing to enter the site. This causes delays for those wanting to dispose of household waste and frustration and inconvenience for nearby residents trying to go about their daily lives. The Rugby Road Centre also does not have the internal capacity to cope with the increasing demand, and it has little room for expansion, as housing development over the years has left it with limited space. Although this centre continues to operate, it is no longer fit for purpose. This was recognized by the Household Waste Recycling Centre review carried out under the previous Conservative administration. As a result of that review, potential sites to replace this centre were identified, with land next to Gamston Highway Depot being investigated as a possible location for a new modern super site that would be easily accessible, large enough and close enough to serve West Bridgeford residents and those from the wider area. My request is that new administration appreciate how important this issue continues to be for my residents in West Bridgeford West, and that they work with me and my colleagues to move towards finalizing and building a new recycling centre to meet the needs of West Bridgeford area. I know this task is not easy, with a lot of practical and planning issues to resolve, but the sooner a new site is ready to serve our residents, the easier it is for them to dispose of waste correctly. And the sooner we can decommission the site on Rugby Road, that has become a blight on the lives of some residents living nearby. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. I now call on Councillor Brill to speak regarding speeding and dangerous driving on the B686.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for allowing me to speak on a topic of sort of great concern to many of the residents in my division. Of course, this county council, as the Highway Authority and as member of the Nottinghamshire Safety Camera Partnership, has a responsibility for road safety in all of our divisions. Now, we've all been members of the council long enough to have familiarised ourselves and looked at the Think website map maintained by the Department for Transport, on which decisions on road safety and other road matters are taken. And that website has some data, principally police data, regarding accidents based on severity, slight, serious, fatal across all of our divisions, and action is taken retrospectively, principally or solely based on that historic data. Carlton Hill is a unique road in my division. It is a B road, B686, and if you look at it on a map, it is predominantly long and straight. It looks almost like a racetrack. And I'm sorry to say that there are some drivers in my division that treat it like a racetrack, principally but not always, late at night in the early hours of the morning. There are a fantastic team of volunteers in my division, the BC686 Community Road Safety Group, who have diligently in their own time collected a considerable amount of data, which I don't have time to repeat here, but it shows that using various sources of information, the Motor Insurance Bureau, social media, local media, that there are multiple accidents that are not recognised on the DTF website. And in fact, there have been 11 serious road traffic accidents over the last 5 years. I will refer to only one. I didn't see the accident myself, but I saw the consequences of it. At the bottom of Carlton Hill, at the junction with Carlton Square, there is a bus stop outside the Beacon Hill Public House. And on the 29th of July 2024, a car was travelling at such speed that it completely demolished the metal bus stop. Now, number one, that is not on the DTF website. It didn't happen. And secondly, if it had been recorded on the DTF website, it would have presumably been categorised as slight because there were no injuries. Do you know why there were no injuries, Madam Chair? It's because the people who were standing out at the bus stop jumped for their lives. But that data is not counted in terms of actioning this issue. We see on the news every day, Madam Chair, that in relation to some issues in this country, that the state can move remarkably quickly in actioning things that affect certain groups.
You have
But when
30
it comes to
seconds,
our,
Councillor.
thank you, Madam Chair, when it comes to our community and things that affect us, it takes years and decades, or nothing ever happens. Well, my residents, Madam Chair, are fed up of no action in relation to road safety on Carlton Hill, and they want something done, and our preference is for speed cameras. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor Saddington to speak regarding request for a pedestrian crossing on the A617.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to take this opportunity to press for urgent action to improve the pedestrian safety on the A617 within the small village of Kelham. Residents live on both sides of the road. Footpaths are unusually very narrow. Beyond Kelham Bridge, heading towards Mansfield, large lorries pass each other on tight, narrow, blind bends, often with pedestrians trying to walk along the narrow pavement at the same time. Lorries pound through the village, resulting in residents being unable to cross the road in complete safety. The river in Kelham frequently floods, making it even more difficult to cross the A617. Pedestrian crossing is required away from the site of the usual flooding, namely the river, which would make a safer crossing for all. I presented a petition towards the end of the last administration. Residents would like the crossing between Home Farm Close and Kelham Hall, which many people in this room will be aware of. Kelham does not have a community space. They have nowhere to plant a tree. So they have to walk along the A617 to take their dog for a walk or to take an afternoon stroll. A pedestrian crossing would enable residents, including children, to walk to the bus stop, the Red House Hotel, the church, and the Fox Public House safely. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Saddington. I now call upon Councillor Robertson to speak regarding the need for a new crossing over the River Trent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The A631 is the arterial route between Doncaster and Gainsborough. It dissects my division and is the main transport connection for all of my residents. The road crosses the River Trent at Gainsborough, where the crossing is a single carriageway and the nearest for 18 miles. As I've explained in previous contributions, my division is very much a cross-border area, with residents having links in South Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Many have employment in Gainsborough or the wider West Lindsey area. Children from the division attend schools in Gainsborough, with many also having family there. We have access to an urgent treatment centre and other medical facilities, and most people choose Gainsborough for their retail and shopping. With the area only having one crossing of the Trent within 18 miles, this is a vital piece of infrastructure that supports local lives and the local economy. When it fails, which it frequently does, the area is massively impacted. Roadworks, or often sheer weight of traffic alone, that come to the bridge pinch point lead to tailbacks all the way to Beckingham, 2.1 miles away. In the unfortunate circumstance the road is closed, which it was in 2024 when the Trent breached its banks, the people travelling to Gainsborough have a 35-mile round trip up to Althorpe Bridge or the crossing over the M180. Having such limited infrastructure has a massive impact on residents and businesses in my division, but also across the river in Gainsborough and West Lindsey. As I mentioned in my speech on LGR, as elected leaders, we should focus on the benefits of geography, not just the authority. What the area needs is an additional crossing of the Trent fit for the 21st century, enabling residents and businesses to cross the river without impediment. We need to look to the future and develop infrastructure that supports growth in an area that has been historically underfunded and often ignored by previous governments and administrations. Another consideration is the area now hosts a future site for step fusion energy production, which will bring huge amounts of jobs and infrastructure development. So transport links will be vital. I visited the step fusion site with my good friend Councillor James Gamble and heard how the project is planning to be delivered over the next 20 to 30 years. A vision for the future of energy production surrounded by transport infrastructure that was planned and delivered 40 to 50 years ago.
30 seconds.
Thank you. With reform leading the county administrations on both sides of the river and a regional mayor in Lincolnshire, we should be looking to deliver a new crossing to benefit the whole area. I'm therefore using this speech as an invitation to my good friend and leader, Mick, and relevant cabinet members to support this vision and get the wheels in motion. As the division's county councillor, I'm happy to support colleagues in both county councils to bring this concept forward and bring Misterton, Tuxford and West Lindsey closer together for a prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, I have to advise you that the time is up now on this particular.
Chairman, point of order 37. I've been timing it. Testing, isn't it? 29 constitutional issues up to 15 minutes allowed. Yeah. I've been timing it and I've only got 12 minutes of contingency speeches and I've been timing it. I've got the timings for each one. So the first one was 3:07. You allowed them to overspeak for 7 seconds. Conservative then spoke for 2:19. Then Reform spoke for 3:03. Then Conservative spoke for 1:50. And then Reform spoke for 3 minutes. That's not 15 minutes.
He's corrected. So we're now on 16 minutes. 11. We're out of time.
Wait, I'm sorry. Time.
So you need to just to let people.
Councillor, we have completed the 15 minutes allowed for this item. All remaining speeches fall and can be resubmitted for the next meeting. We now move on to item 6A, the presentation of petitions. I was notified of 14 petitions by the deadline. May I remind members there is 1 minute time limit for the presentation of each petition, and there is a maximum time limit of 15 minutes for this item. I call upon Councillor Adams to present your petition regarding Whitworth Drive drainage.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, this is following up from my constituency speech in the council meeting before last about Whitworth Drive. I'm calling for a sustainable solution, including installing curb drains between certain property numbers, the expanding of a pipe that runs under the A612, which will take floodwater away, and to ensure, therefore, that enables children to get to school safely when we have heavy rainfall, but also protect properties as well. Thank you.
I call on Councillor Kelvin Wright to present your petition regarding the combating excessive speed on B6034 at Carburton.
Madam Chair, thank you. I present this petition on behalf of the residents of Carburton Village with identical themes to those very eloquently stated by Councillor Brill. Carburton is centred around and bisected by the B6034. It is currently a 60-mile-an-hour road with residences directly adjacent. In addition to the main road, there's a particularly risky junction where the road is crossed by Lime Tree Avenue, a major ingress and egress from Clumber Park. This popular road has a 40-mile-an-hour limit within the limits of the National Trust property and returns to 60 as you approach the junction. There are no warning signs either side as you approach this junction. Other similar roads have much tighter control on approach speeds within the region on both the main road and the side roads. Carberton requests something similar in order to improve safety and decrease noise. Additionally, the petition asks for speed calming measures on the B6034. County and district councillors, in addition to the owners of Welbeck, support this petition.
I call on Councillor Robertson to present your petition requesting speed limit reduction and highways improvements on Wheatley Road, Clayworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The village of Clayworth is a beautiful rural village surrounded by farmland and dissected by the Chesterfield Canal. The southern entry to the village has a bridge crossing the canal, with other roads entering the village that converge at this point. The junction between Wheatley Road and Town Street, with an awkward view to a blind summit bridge, residents believe should be a stop rather than a give-way junction. The entry to Clayworth from the common over the bridge is also poorly signed. Residents have witnessed many near misses where cars cannot see what is coming over the canal bridge or have misread the junction due to worn road markings and limited signage. The road through the village has also become a rat run for drivers making their way to and from Retford, which not only increases traffic volume, but brings drivers inexperienced in road conditions to use this route. Local residents have campaigned on this matter for years, but have not been listened to. Presenting this petition to Council aims to amplify residents' concerns and finally get action to address a very dangerous section of road. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor David Clark to present your petition requesting a speed limit reduction through the village of Moorhouse near Egmonton.
Madam Chair, councillors.
Okay. Madam Chair, councillors, I'm speaking today on behalf of concerned residents to request an urgent and common sense change to reduce the speed limit through Moorhouse Village Road from 60 miles an hour to 30. This is a narrow rural lane not built for modern traffic volumes or speeds. There's no pavements, limited visibility, sharp bends, and in some places barely enough to get two cars passing each other. Yet now it carries a national speed limit, which is completely inappropriate. We've seen near misses, too many moments where pedestrians and dog walkers and children are put at serious risks. Reducing the limit to 30 miles an hour would not only improve safety for all who live there and walk and drive through the village, it would also reflect what's clear to everyone who uses this road, that 60 is completely unsuitable. Thank you. I hope you'll support this petition and make this vital change happen.
I call on Councillor Brill to present your petition regarding adoption of highway outside homes on Adbolton Lodge and Home Lodge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the summer of this year, I became aware that a resident of mine living on the Whimsy Park, Emma, and her young son took a tumble due to the state of the road, which is something probably isn't a surprise to most of us. But when I visited, something that was a surprise to me was to discover, first of all, instead of resembling the surface of the moon, the surface of the road on Adbolton Lodge and Home Lodge resembled Mars. And secondly, the reason for that is that those roads are not the responsibility of the Highways Authority, even though the people who live in these houses, they all pay their council tax like everybody else. They all pay into the system like everybody else, but their road is not looked after like we would expect. This is unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable, would be unacceptable to any officers in this authority, and something should be done about it. And therefore, with the help of volunteers, we have the petition requesting that Adbolton Lodge and Home Lodge are adopted and made safe and usable. Thank you.
I call on Councillor Matthews to present your petition requesting an urgent review on the Minerals Local Plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I bring a petition on behalf of the 5 parishes, which is Gotham, Botany-in-Fabus, Thrumpton, Ratcliffe-on-Soar and Kingston-on-Soar. We'd like to undertake, they would like us to undertake an urgent review on the mineral plan, which was last done in 2021, and works on the usages of sand and gravel only up until 2016. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor Wheeler to present your petition regarding resurfacing of pavements on Carnarvon Road.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Today I'm presenting a petition signed by 148 people recording the resurfacing of Carnarvon Road's pavements. The pavements are in a poor state, and this is a well-used road with a busy school located on it. The road surface itself was resurfaced a couple of years ago, and I have submitted payments to be resurfaced, but we hope this petition shows the strength of feeling from the community and call on the council to prioritise resurfacing as soon as possible. Thank you.
I call on Councillor Rich to present your petition requesting speed limit reduction near Portland College and Fountaindale School.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I raised today responding to a petition on behalf of the residents, families in and around the division, popular those connected to Portland College and Fountaindale School, who expect especially centres, education, care for individuals with complex needs of disabilities, to reduce the speed limit to 30 miles per hour on the A60, which Gloria Duprio did change from 50 to 40, as we remember, and to reduce the speed limit from 30 to 20 miles an hour in areas like Harlowwood, Oakville Drive, Poplars Way, Pine Way, Maple Drive and Lime Tree Drive. Thank you.
I call on Councillor Darrington to present your petition requesting the installation of a pedestrian crossing on Watnall Road, Hucknall.
Lovely, thank you, Madam Chair. This gives me immense pleasure to present this petition on behalf of our local resident, Emma Donaldson. Emma has painstakingly manoeuvred a disabled vehicle all over town to get over 500 signatures. She has no means of crossing safely on a stretch of road in Hucknall, which is Watnall Road, which is the B6009. There is no safe provision there for her to cross, along with multiple senior complexes within that vicinity. It is a major issue. It is half a mile away from the nearest crossing, and we ask if we could have a site meeting and have a little consideration for potentially over the next few months, putting something together with a new crossing or something similar. So that would be fantastic, and I'm honoured to present this petition to.
I call on Councillor Sam Smith to present your petition regarding speed limits on Beacon Hill Road.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sadly, over the summer, there was 2 crashes in the space of just a few days at the top of Beacon Hill Road that's currently 40 miles an hour. My constituent Oliver contacted me and set up a petition calling on the council to review the speed limits and have a look at it. That's been signed by 108 people, and I present it to you today, Madam Chairman.
I now call on Councillor Garland to present your 2 petitions regarding speeding on Abbey Road and Exchange Road. You have up to 2 minutes to speak.
Thanks very much. There's a petition from the residents of Abbey Road, which is a very narrow residential road with a school and a new estate on it. 117 have signed for a 20-mile-an-hour limit there. And then the residents of an area off Exchange Road, where there are a number of roads where the speed limit inexplicably goes up to 30 miles an hour from a 20-mile-an-hour zone, would also like 20-mile-an-hour limit.
Councillor Helen Fatio to present your petition requesting a 20 miles per hour speed limit in Cottage Grove Conservative area.
Conservation. Conservation.
What did I say?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, I present this petition today on behalf of the residents of the Cottage Grove Conservation Area in Chilwell. They're asking for a reduction of the speed limit to 20 miles per hour. These are narrow residential roads. There's barely room for 2 vehicles to pass, and there are no raised pavements for pedestrians. And there have been near misses, and we want to change before someone is seriously injured. I hope the council will consider the residents' request thoroughly. Thank you.
Councillor Smith. Would you... No, I just want to correct you, because my script does say conservative area. So you don't have to apologise. I call on Councillor Answer to present your petition regarding saving adult care services in Mansfield and Newark.
Received a petition with over 80 signatures, and this is a vital day service in Mansfield and Newark run by Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, are under threat of closure in less than 7 weeks. It's supporting adults with complex needs and disabilities, and we ourselves use that service with around probably 10 of our own customers from adult social care. Thank you.
I ask the Council to resolve that the petitions be referred to the appropriate Cabinet members for consideration. A report will be brought back to the Council in due course in accordance with the standing orders. All those in favour? I think that's unanimous. Any abstentions at all? No. No. 6B, Responses to petitions presented to the Chairman of the County Council. I move that the contents of the report and the actions approved be noted. Are there any speakers on this item? Councillor Adams to speak.
Hi, thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Yes, I've been through the results of the petition report, and I'm incredibly sad to see that two of the petitions particularly haven't been agreed to go through. One of them was outside Chandos Street in Netherfield, where a little boy last year was bumped into by a car. There's no safe way of crossing what has become quite a dangerous road. And although there is an offer of some sort of traffic calming within the resolution to that issue, I'm afraid that doesn't give much solace to the resident whose child that was. Also moving on in terms of Vale Road as well, another school in my area, again a crossing provision. It says that, well, there's a crossing provision for already provided by a crossing lady, and you know that's great. However, the road is also used throughout of the year and evenings and daytime, so that provision unfortunately is not good enough. And similarly, in terms of Chorlworth and Marland Road, we had an opportunity to connect the local railway station in in Netherfield, which would enable the safe passage of all rail passengers, something we're trying to push forward in terms of sustainable travel from the railway station all the way to Colleague Park. Again, a well-used place by residents across the borough and the county. Incredibly sad to see this hasn't gone forward. I'll obviously be continue to battle for these to go forward, because I think they're incredibly important for the residents of Carlton East. And but yeah, very sad to see them as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And I call on Councillor Carr, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Very pleased to see on page 47 and 48 three petitions that I presented are now actually going to go to investigation for residents' parking schemes. I'd just like to say, mainly for the benefit of Councillor Bingham and Mr Higton, if he's up there, I can't see. That the three councillors that represent parts of Beeston, Councillor Faccio, Councillor Cullen and myself, have got something that none of you will have, and that's students' halls of residence. And that means that in our particular areas, the protocols that are in place and the policies that were in place for residents' parking schemes are not fit for purpose, because many students at these halls of residence use the roads around them as long-term parking, and I'm talking in some cases 12 weeks they park on the road. We took a very pragmatic view with the Peveril Road and also Kenilworth Road last year to implement it, despite it not meeting our policy, and I hope that we are as pragmatic about these as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Brown, please, to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillor Carr, I can equal you. I've got the Sutton Bonington Agriculture and Veterinary College at Sutton Bonington on my patch with about 1,500 students, so I know your problems. Madam Chair, I'd just like to thank the petition for resurfacing of Stonebridge Drive in Eastleigh from a petition that was presented last year by Councillor Matt Barney of 187 signatures to get what, in my opinion, is probably one of the worst roads in Rushcliffe, and the residents have been waiting many, many years for this to happen. It's on the candidates list, and I just hope it succeeds, and we're going to have 187 plus residents very, very happy. Thank you.
Councillor Saddington, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I notice on this report on page 38 and 39 regarding my requests for permanent traffic signals on Horton Bridge. For a start, on page 39, it says I have agreed for the location to be assessed again. I have not agreed. As far as I'm concerned, we're talking about the Southern Relief Road in Newark, which is going to come across from Fernwood, near Balderton, in Balderton, across to the A46 at Farndon. It's being built with lots of little roundabouts, islands between one end and the other. Now, at the moment, we have part of the road open and they're completing the rest of the road by September 2026. I have argued and been successful, I might say, in asking for traffic lights, temporary as they may be, to be on Horton Bridge. Horton is a very, very small village, but everybody cuts through it. And that bridge has a dangerous bend. You cannot see who's coming in the other direction. We've had bricks knocked off the top of the bridge. We've had people overturned in people's gardens because they've had to swerve to miss traffic because they haven't seen it coming over the bridge. During the construction work, I asked for traffic lights. Anybody'd think I was asking for a new road. But I have argued and argued, and I have won the battle, and the traffic lights, temporary as they may be, are there until 2026. Now, I had a meeting the other day, and I said, are you guaranteeing these traffic lights are there until 2026? Because they can't be removed. People will end up in people's gardens, in the river, God knows where. I was promised they'll be there till 2026. So why can't we have them permanently? They're doing a survey, another survey, kicking into the long grass. There are 800 cars at least going over that bridge a day. I can tell them that. They tell me that. So what do we need a survey for? You know, when the road is completely opened and there's an accident on that single lane road, where will they go? Through Horton to get onto the A46 to Nottingham. It is crazy. We do surveys for the sake of doing a survey. That I am asking that those traffic lights become permanent. That is what we need. And we don't need a survey to tell us that there's at least 800 cars going over that bridge a day, because there will be more when the road is opened. As people crash, and they will, they'll miss an island for a start because there's so many. They will take the shortcut through Horton. There are no pavements, there are blind corners in the village, and there's a blind bend. So we're doing a survey, just to kick it into the grass for a couple of years. I'm sorry, I shall continue with this, and I will succeed.
Thank you, councillors. This to-note report has been received by the Chamber. Thank you.
Sorry.
Item 7, Nottinghamshire Youth Justice Strategic Plan 2025 to 26. I call upon Councillor Green, who will move the recommendations in this report. Councillor Green to speak.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you to John Evans and all of his team for putting such a clear strategic plan, because sometimes in plans it can be overly detailed and quite confusing. So I congratulate them and all the officers working hard to put that together. I wanted to also thank the police, who work so hard every day, tirelessly, the probation team, Futures, who are part of that holistic package to make sure that they're working with the schools, and also the clinical nursing specialists, and a few more as well, because I think it's really important that we don't miss them out. Change, Grow, Live and Remedy and Appropriate Adult Services, who are real specialised in particular areas of helping these young people. I was particularly impressed by the input that the children had. I think sometimes as adults we like to think that we know the best all the time, which we are when it comes to safety, but I was particularly struck by the voices of the parents and the children in this plan. So I want to thank them for that keeping it centred. Nottinghamshire, guys, is doing fantastic. In the last year, we've had a reduction from 130 young people down to 125 per 100,000 of crime reduction. So there is good work being done. So I want to congratulate everyone over the last year or so who had some input with that. I also thought that was quite important that people behind closed doors get forgotten about. There is the Nottinghamshire Youth Justice Partnership Board, so people hold people to account through scrutiny. So I wanted to mention them as well. Lastly, out of the 4 points that we have as a priority, I felt the education one was particularly striking to me. I've been doing some reading, and 80% of children who enter the youth justice system, 80% are neurologically diverse or have some form of SEND. So I will be excited to keep working with Hannah John next to me on this subject, because I think they're misunderstood. I think there's not a person-centred approach to support their needs. And I really feel if we get this right as a county, working with these people, providing that person-centred approach according to their needs, not what we think's right, it's really going to reduce crime for the young people, meeting with that need. So, yeah, I'm delighted to pass this through. Thank you for listening, and I really wish them all the best this year and helping the young people. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Barton, who will second the motion.
I will second that, Madam Chairman, and reserve the right. Thank you.
Can you hear me? I will now open the debate.
Thanks very much. The Labour Group welcome this report. We welcome the fact that the number of young people in the UK and in Nottinghamshire being incarcerated is reducing. And actually, Councillor Green, I also picked out the point about education. It's so important, particularly that people aren't being excluded. So thank you for highlighting that.
Wilmot to speak.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. As I walk about the streets in my town and in the area, I see a lot of problems for our youth, which is very concerning to us all, and it has to be very concerning, because of the issue of reducing the number of children entering the crime justice system is a serious problem, a very serious problem. It can only be addressed by early educational schemes. We have to get young families introduce them to education consistently at an earlier age. And also, it's absolutely essential that they get the necessary support that's required. We have now a new children's hub, great opportunity to get families, more of our families into those hubs, and they have to be made available in a better way, produce the information out there to get people to come and use it more and more and more. And many of our young families are struggling to cope to educate their children. Having a young family for the first time can be a very traumatic situation. A problem they're not used to. Many are struggling to feed, clothe, and have a roof over their heads. And educating children wrong from right is sometimes not high on the list of things to do for some families. Many need help, but it must be put back into their minds that how serious the situation is, and their child is one of the most important things and should be in their life. Reducing the rate and frequency of reoffending by children already within the youth justice system is also a very difficult proposition. Many of these children are already in problem families and need serious help. Education is the only answer to show these youngsters there is a life after crime, there is a life again with an intervention. It's not an easy task. Children often feel not wanted by society. That has to change. That's got to change. Now, keeping the number of children experiencing custody to a minimum, many need to be shown a way forward, that a roof over their heads, money in their pockets, a nice car and good quality relationship can be obtained by gaining an education that will provide you with a good job to obtain the necessary income that is required to have an acceptable life. Madam Chairman, many of these children are crying out for help. Many of them really crying out for help. We have to do our very, very best for them because they are our lifeblood. They will be representing us in the years to come when we've all gone. And it's essential that they do get the opportunity to have an education that is good for them, good for us, and good for the community in our towns and cities. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cullen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you well know, this is my professional area of work and has been for more than 40 years. I know, I don't look old enough. I am. All across the county, I welcome this report. It's a good strategy. All across the county, voluntary organisations work in this field, and I work for a voluntary organisation that works in this field. Some of the greatest expertise in youth justice with young people is held in the voluntary sector. And yet I read this strategy microscopically and I see no mention whatsoever of the voluntary and community sector being included as a partner. It's not mentioned at all. And I tell you in the reform group that you won't know this, but in the voluntary and community sector, in this area and in other areas in the voluntary and community sector, the statutory sector very often entirely rely on us to do the work, but forget completely to include us in the strategies or in the celebration of when the work's a success. And in the voluntary sector, people are tired of that. I feel that the voluntary sector, the huge contribution that the voluntary sector, groups that Councillor Green's mentioned, make to this field of work should at least warrant a sentence in the report. I'll support this report, but I'm just telling you my high level of disappointment that possibly over 100 workers across the county, from the far north to the county to the far south, are disregarded for the massive expertise they bring to this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Cullen. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I completely agree with every word that Councillor Cullen has just said. I know she's in my group, but I'd say that even if she wasn't in my group. With my Broxtowe Borough Council hat on, whenever there is antisocial behaviour that needs tackling, that council works with the police, who very often get overtime budgets to put extra patrols on. But the other people that we turn to are the voluntary sector. Your group, the Hire Project as well. Yeah, the Hire Project as well. You will know, Madam Chair, in Stapleford. All of these groups assist greatly, and local authorities would not be able to do what they need to do without them. It's as simple as that. I'm glad that Councillor Green brought up the statistic about the number of SEND children and young people that are entering the justice system. It's a huge worry because new councillors will now be realising what we old councillors know for a long time, that the SEND situation is a mess, a real mess, and people are getting left behind. Children aren't getting the education that they need. Now, I've heard good things from reform councillors this morning on this subject, especially from Councillor Green, and I really do hope that you listen to the likes of Councillor Green and the likes of Councillor Cullen when it comes to SEND, and not to your leader, who said that we've overdiagnosed SEND, and not to Richard Tice, who blamed the problems of SEND on parents, because that is not the case. It is simply not the case. And if we get those sorts of ideas, then the youth justice plan will not work, because these children need to be supported to get into education and need to be supported to keep them out of the criminal justice system. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lee to speak now.
Chairman, thank you. I'm going to speak quickly on this because I actually used to work for the County Council working with children in this area. And it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. But the way you stop children getting into trouble is by putting in the procedures before that happens. So example, EHCP plans make sure the children have a good educational plan when they're in school. You get to pick up issues, again, in your report, and I congratulate you on this, keeping children in school. Really important, because that's where we see, as the local authority, issues, and we can pick up early and get them help they need. However, again, what we have missed in this report that was mentioned by my colleagues behind is that we haven't mentioned the voluntary sector. We know that the funding that we get at this council is limited from national government. We could have billions of pounds and we still wouldn't have enough money when it comes to our children. We spend every penny on our children, I would be happy. However, we've got other services. We need more money. And what I would like to thank is Tracy Taylor. Tracy Taylor did a superb job when she was here, and I know she was very passionate about this, and I would like to thank her and thank all our team who are no longer here, who worked passionately in this area. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I welcome this report. It's a very good report, and I concur really with the how good the voluntary sector are at helping out this council deliver the strategy. And I make no apology for mentioning this again. I've mentioned it at Cabinet, and I've mentioned it at the full council debate on LGR. The early intervention strategy, which was set up by the previous administration with the 18 family hubs in Mansfield, Ashfield and Bassetlaw, are an integral part of the delivery of this strategy. Early intervention is the name of the game. Early intervention is the only solution to the problems that we have in these areas, and these family hubs are an integral part, and Tracy was a part of that, as was Sam and Ben previous to Sam. So I have to remark the fact that and reiterate the fact that 73% of the demand for adults and young peoples comes from Ashfield, Mansfield and parts of Bassetlaw. And the reason why I'm constantly reminding you of this fact is that LGR will reduce the council tax base. And by reducing the council tax base, that will inexplicably, it will impact on the delivery of this strategy. Yeah. We're here today looking at a very good strategy. It needs money, and money needs council taxpayers. And if you sell Nottinghamshire County Council down the river by adding on great swatches into the city, you will be responsible in this chamber for the lack of delivery of this strategy, and vulnerable children will suffer. That's who will suffer. SEND, we've just talked about it, they will suffer. There will be no money for them unless you increase council tax by a massive amount. So I reiterate that fact. I'm going over the same point time and time again because you're not listening. That's why I'm doing it. It's because you're not listening. So do everything in your power to increase your tax base, and then you can deliver a good service for the people of Nottinghamshire. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Councillor John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also welcome and concur with the statement of Councillor Green, that this is an excellent report.
then I welcome the steps for reform that will be taken to boost education in this area. I do think that is a key point. One thing that I would like to highlight is someone who used to work in the prisons, in the education system, is that 52% of prisoners have the education levels of an 11-year-old, the reading, standard of 11-year-old or below. So that does go to show just how much and how crucial education is and how essential it is. One other thing that I would say is crucial for their development is that belief system of what I would call reintegrative shaming. So that's to do with the way that they believe and they've been stigmatized because of what they've done, thinking that they can no longer leave the prison and actually make a change and redirect their life for positive use. So that's something I would like to highlight for this report is the pushing of restorative justice. As we know, our criminal justice system is broken and it does need reform, and it's really important that we see that we can help those who have gone through the criminal justice system to have a different outcome in life outcome through education, but also through their belief of themselves, so personal, psychological approach for them. So I would like to highlight that. So thank you for your report, though, and thank you for the officers who've done such great work in this.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Girling now, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'll just sort of reiterate a little bit about the fact of the voluntary sector has been pretty much ignored, and one of the things is becoming more and more prevalent in that is alternative education provision, because we know sitting in a classroom being told one-on-one is two is not always the best form of education for some children and some young people, and therefore there's a need to look at alternative education provision. And for example, in Newark alone, we've got about 3, I think. We've got one, which is called the Suggs's Foundation, which brings young people in through boxing, and they're taught education through boxing. We've got Mending Lines, which also teaches young people education through fishing, and on all the sort of mathematics and all that sort of goes with that. Believe it or not, how many maggots you got. And there's also one that does it through sport, i.e. football and rugby. So we need to sort of open our eyes a little bit and get off this train of they go to school, they sit in a classroom, you have to do this, because no wonder some of them are disruptive because they can't cope with it. Yeah, and therefore, if we're going to look at it from a different angle, we've then got to look at an alternative funding arrangement, because they don't do it for nothing. They've got to be able to do that, and it costs money. So I'd like us to, as a council, to maybe embrace that, if you like, and look at how we will support alternative education provision throughout Nottinghamshire. And I think if that's incorporated within this, it would be an incredibly good thing to happen. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Girling. Councillor Doddy.
Thanks very much indeed, Chair. Again, commend this wonderful report to us all here today, and very well presented by Councillor Green. Bespoke education or an alternative education, any education at all would be a bonus. And I speak as somebody who looked after Clayfield Secure Unit for many, many years, looking after kids from 10 to 17 years of age. These kids come in and the lack of structure in their lives, and yet within a couple of months of going to bed at 9 o'clock, having 3 meals a day, having a bespoke education to them, they were winning awards, they were getting NVQs, and they were leaving with positive qualifications to make a positive addition into the lives in which they were emerging. It could well be said there, but for the grace of God, go most of us, depending on which environment that we've been sort of born into. One of the very important aspects was the neurodivergence, and the idea that 70 or 80% of the kids have neurodivergence who end up
in trouble with the police is hugely important, because those kids resort to ways of dealing with that through drugs and alcohol. And of course, that then goes on to an adult life of crime, and the amount of undiagnosed neurodivergence in the adult prisons is anybody's guess, because it's masked by drugs and alcohol. We in Reform have specifically taken this on board, and we're involved in what is a refresh of the 10-year plan. We've been working assiduously over the last number of months to put children at the forefront of that plan, to make sure that no child is left behind, to give every child the best start in life, and to make sure that our SEND provision is the best in the country. It's already markedly improved under Councillor Green and Hannah John, and be under no illusion, this report is not here by accident. The recognition of the challenges are not here by accident, and they will be specifically reflected in the refresh 10-year Nottinghamshire plan, to make sure our children get the best chance in life with no child left behind. Thank you.
Councillor John Clark.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. It seems there's a strong call for Tony Blair to come back with education, education, education. If you remember that from many years ago, but I mean, that is a fact, and I think we've all of us have failed some of the young people. But in education now, we've got to. It's not just about getting a degree. I know my grandkids have just all wandered off to various universities, this, that and the other, and I'll come away with very useful degrees. But we do have to make people aware in schools and in the system. You can do it through something like this council. You know, where are they? Where is it? And where are the things about parenting skills? Because some of these pupils are very, very difficult to challenge. They're challenged. They are very difficult to control, and they're very difficult to get interested. I mean, not everybody wants to go and do a degree. So somebody should do similar to what I did, which is a skill. So they go and work with your hands and work with your head. I don't think we do enough of that, would bypass some of it. Fully support the report, but I was going to ask through the leader if he would get, and the portfolio holder, drag the MPs in. Let's see what else we can do. There's a lot more we can do, because you're up against a battle here, and we had it before, we had it in the chamber before with county lines. Now, I'll offer you 300 quid to sit on a train and go up to Manchester and dump this package there. And that's far more tempting than having to go and do a shift on a building site or something like that. We've got to break it up. All of us here, I mean, there is a consensus here. I mean, I don't agree with Reform on many, many things, but I can see us here, we have something we can actually work hard on. So I'd urge the leader to actually get in touch with the MPs, drag them out on a Friday and see what else we can do. Because at the moment, we've got lots of people, and I use a strong word here, lots of people running feral. And they are. They're running out there. They're terrorising people, and people won't poke their nose out the door after 6 o'clock. And in another, 3-4 weeks, the dark nights will be here. And it's terrifying. So a lot, back to Tony Blair's job, which John mentioned. He didn't mention Tony Blair because he wouldn't. But education side of it is key. We hold one of the keys to solving some of the problems in this. And if we work together on it, then I'm sure we can make Nottinghamshire a safer place. But I fully support the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Barton reserved his right to speak. Do you wish to speak now, Councillor? Yes.
Yes, please. Is that all right? It's been a really good debate, actually. I take on Councillor Cullen's about that sector being missed in the report. But if you read the report, obviously, key contributor to this plan is the police, the head of the police and crime commissioner, the violence reduction unit, health partners, probation, district and borough councils, children's social care and education. I'm sure they'll be involved at some stage, but obviously this is a plan and I welcome it. I thank Councillor Green for all his work. Councillor Carr who mentioned leader? If you can be clear which leader you mean, because I didn't make any of those comments you referred to. So please be clear when you're making statements in this chamber, please, because I certainly didn't make those comments you said. Well, that'll be better. Thank you. So with that, I fully support. Sorry. With that, I fully support Councillor Green's report, and I'll now hand over to Rory. Thank you.
Point of order, Madam Chairman, number 91, points of order and personal explanation. Can I just say, and perhaps this is something you mentioned, that if you ask somebody a question in your speech, don't be surprised if they answered the question. Thank you.
Councillor Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick one and a redirection, a swift one. Thank you for all your feedback, genuinely. I think children and politics should be quite swept aside here. Let's keep it on track. I love the feedback from Councillor Cullen and Carr, genuinely. I just want to invite you to sit with me behind closed doors at county or wherever you need to, because I personally volunteer a lot with men's mental health, so I know what it's like with funding, and I know that you're sometimes the forgotten one. So I'd love to chat with you guys and work with you closely. And that is all. Thank you so much.
Councillors, I will now put the motion to the vote. So all those in favour?
That's unanimous, Chair.
I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Item 8, the Nottinghamshire and Nottingham Waste Local Plan adoption. I call upon Councillor Bingham to introduce the report and move the recommendations. Councillor Bingham to speak.
I am pleased as portfolio holder for Transport and Environment to introduce this report, which recommends adoption of a new waste local plan for Nottinghamshire and Nottingham. Nottinghamshire County Council is the planning authority for all waste developments in the county, including disposal of waste, operations which seek to recover energy from waste, and recycling activities. Because of the relationship between both councils, we have prepared a joint waste local plan for over many years, in about 5 years now, I think. This means each council considers all planning applications for waste developments on the same basis. We need to ensure that we have an up-to-date approach to planning for waste, as the last plan was adopted in 2013, so is out of date. The new plan is based on research about likely future volumes of waste and what types of new facilities will be needed based on future increases in recycling and helping waste going to land, keep waste going to landfill to the bare minimum. The plan does not include specific sites for development in the plan, but sets out criteria to assess planning applications at the time new development is needed, so is more flexible. These policies cover environmental matters and seek to ensure that the waste is managed in the most sustainable manner to promote a circular economy in materials and supports recycling, recovery and disposal in the most sustainable locations without adverse impacts on residential areas. The plan was submitted for examination in March 24 and the examination hearing sessions with an independent planning inspector were held in October 24. The inspector published Steve Normanton published a report in June 25 finding the joint waste local plan sound, subject to the making of modifications which council officers themselves suggested and which do not fundamentally alter the plan, which the county council previously agreed. We have worked with Nottingham City councillors through the Joint Committee on Minerals and Waste Plan, and the Joint Committee at its last meeting endorsed the plan and recommended each council now adopts it. I'm very grateful for the work that my predecessor, Councillor Neil Clark, who I met yesterday, undertook, and other councillors in steering the plan during the last administration. The plan was also discussed by the Place Select Committee at that time, and I'm grateful for their input. I am especially I would like especially to pay tribute to the hard work of the officers, which I don't think we do often enough. in the planning policy team who have created it on behalf of the city and county councils, especially Emma Brook, who has led the project. I also believe that the plan is sufficiently flexible to accommodate the challenges and opportunities posed by both local government reorganisation and the introduction of simpler recycling regulations. The council has a simple decision. It is to adopt the plan to be the basis for all decisions made on waste developments by this council in future. Every new waste development in Nottinghamshire will still need to be subject to a planning application, and I know that the planning committee will remain diligent when determining such planning applications to ensure that decisions are based on the policies of this plan. I therefore commend this plan to the council and propose the recommendation that the plan is adopted. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Barton, who will second the motion.
I have the pleasure in seconding this motion and reserve the right, Madam Chairman.
I will now open the debate. Councillor Introna, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. Soon be lunchtime, but this is certainly a topic regularly discussed by Nottinghamshire people. Most residents use our recycling centres at some point. It is often a daily topic, certainly in my district council area, particularly relating to service provision at Retford and Worksop. The staff are great, but the locations do have limited space. We as a group will be supporting this Nottingham and Nottinghamshire Waste Plan and thank the officers for the time spent on this comprehensive report and plan. On page 184 of the agenda pack, point 722 talks about the need for new and extended waste facilities, and so we ask for the administration to commit to the decisions made by our previous administration to invest in expanded and new facilities, including Rushcliffe and including Bassett Law. It is also clear from the plan for the need to increase recycling, and so do welcome the new government continuing with simpler recycling policy introduced by the Conservative government to enable more items to be recycled and less waste sent to landfill. We do have a huge disparity in Nottinghamshire with low recycling rates in areas like, well, certainly in Bassett Law compared to such as Rushcliffe, due in part to different approaches the district and borough councils undertake. So this plan will ensure all residents have the same opportunity to recycle. It is also important we continue to resist waste being brought into this county to be disposed of. We do not need or want any incinerators or new landfill sites. As I said, we will be supporting this. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Lawton.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I am going to take this opportunity of this paper coming in front of this full council to highlight the issue of the Billthorpe incinerator in inverted commas gasification plant. It was passed about 10 years ago under a previous Labour administration. They actually went into closed session to make the decision and pass the Billthorpe incinerator site. The plan or the planning application was accepted and to take over 200,000 tonnes of inert waste and burn it to create electricity. Well, if you take into account, I think the total amount of waste that this county produces is about 213,000 tonnes, and a lot of it goes to the Easthorpe incinerator. Anyway, that doesn't take genius to work out the fact that it would create movements, lorry movements, to the tune of nearly 200 movements a day to be able to feed this planning application. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, what happened was they built one in Tyne Tees and it burnt out and cost the developers nearly, not far short of £1 billion to be able to go down that route. So the Billthorpe one never got built, but they secured the planning application by digging some of the footings. And the likelihood is they might come back to this council for a planning application. And I will be lobbying you for your support if that happens, because the last thing the people of Billthorpe want, having had a pit for over 120 years on its doorstep, and a tip that they were going to put foot and mouth infected carcasses in back in 2000, this community has had its fair share. And I will be lobbying you for support if this application rears its ugly head again in Nottinghamshire, because it is wrong. We should not be importing other people's waste. And in this plan, it says very much that. And so I look forward to your support if this application does come in front of you, because they will have such a large material change to be able to put forward. They will have to reapply for planning. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Madam Chairman, to talk about a specific area in my patch and to inform all the new members of this chamber what happened in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Neil Clark, speak now, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and this is certainly welcome, this report and this plan, absolutely. And in fact, as Councillor Bingham quite rightly pointed out, work on this plan has been going on for many years, and the report mentions, for instance, the public hearings last year, 15th and 16th of October, which just a good example of the amount of work that is undertaken by the officers. And certainly I want to place my thanks, and on behalf of the Conservative Group, thanks to all the officers that have put in an awful lot of work. And that is in collaboration, not to forget, Madam Chairman, in collaboration with the City Council. So this is the combined city and county plan. Certain amount of irony, I have to note, that it's the longest report of a couple hundred pages of the agenda of paper, and here we are trying to save the waste, and hey-ho, we've got the longest reports. But I'm afraid that you put that down to the cost of democracy, I think, Madam Chairman. But I do note that Rushcliffe has the best recycling rates in Nottinghamshire. And have I mentioned that before?
No, say it again.
And in paragraph 8 on page 72, reference is made to waste prevention within the strategic policies. And waste prevention is an incredibly important part of reducing that waste. And Councillor Introna mentioned on page 184 and the need for new facilities. And this will be greatly helped by the speedy improvement of recycling centres and creation of new ones. And my friend Councillor Om very eloquently and eruditely described the constraints of the West Bridgeford Recycling Centre and the need for its replacement. Yeah. And if you turn to page 196, paragraph 7.58, policy SP7 refers to the Greenbelt, and as indicated in that policy, it indicates that demonstration of very special circumstances are relevant and can be considered as not inappropriate in establishing a new waste recycling centre in Rushcliffe. So I look forward to that happening very soon, Madam Chairman, and I'll close by repeating my earlier comments. Tremendous amount of work going in by a lot of people, lots of organisations in collaboration, and I thank the officers once again. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Yeah, well, sir.
Councillor Garland to speak, please.
Thank you very much. I'll speak quickly because I'm going to repeat quite a few things that have been said. First of all, yes, the irony that this report is this long, and we were questioning in our group whether the tape is required so it'd be easier to recycle this sheet. But also, could we question whether everything needs to be printed? I also want to second what Councillor Olm said earlier about the West Bridgeford Recycling Centre is absolutely not fit for purpose. There was a lot of politically motivated campaigning about this before the last election, which probably might have led people to think it wasn't welcomed by the local residents. The current situation is not sustainable and also doesn't encourage recycling. And that's the important thing here. We're talking about waste reduction and dealing with the waste strategy, but the main thing we should do is reduce waste. And I think we need to spend more time thinking about this, and particularly with the increased number of deliveries we get to our homes, which we have to have almost because there are so few shops. That increases more and more waste. You can see that in the communal bins, which are just full of cardboard. So trying to work potentially with the government to try and deal with that would be a good idea, I think. But I would want to particularly pick up on incineration. So incineration is euphemistically called energy recovery from waste. Well, it's true, it is energy recovery from waste, and that is a good thing. And there is a place for it, I agree. I live downwind of the East Cross incinerator, so there's nothing nimbiness about this. But we can't just burn stuff because, I hate to tell you, it puts CO2 in the air. It's not good. And also transporting stuff around all over the county puts CO2, and the country indeed, to our incinerators puts CO2 in the air. So I think we need to try and move away from incineration and increase recycling rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garland. Councillor Barton, you reserved your right to speak. Would you like to speak now?
I've nothing more to add apart from I welcome this report and thank Councillor Bingham for all his work in the offices. Thank you.
I call Councillor Bingham for your right to reply.
There's not a lot I can say. Obviously, we are moving forward with the principles of the waste hierarchy, circular economy in adopting this report. I suppose I can give a little bit of a heads up that we are looking at an environmental or an environment policy moving forward, and that'll be coming forward in the next few weeks, and that will overlay everything as well. So all I can do is commend the report and the plan and recommend its adoption. Thank you.
I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please.
It's unanimous to me.
Item 9. This is the Scrutiny Annual Report 2024 to 25. And I call upon Councillor Mason to introduce the report and move the recommendations. Councillor Mason to speak.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. The Scrutiny Annual Report 24-25. The Scrutiny Annual Report 24-25 highlights the important work carried out by the Overview Committee and the 3 select committees over the past year as Scrutiny continued to support and deliver of the Council's ambitions of building a stronger, more prosperous Nottinghamshire for all our residents. This year's report also marks the conclusion of 3 years of scrutiny activity under the previous Council's administration. As such, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all scrutiny members, co-opted members and Cabinet colleagues, both past and present, as well as to Council officers for their dedication and contribution to delivering meaningful scrutiny over this time. I especially like to thank the previous Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Overview Committee, former Councillors Boyd Elliott and Glyn Guilfoyle, whose work and commitment since the reintroduction of the executive decision-making and scrutiny in 2022 has helped to create the robust and effective scrutiny function that we have here in Nottinghamshire. 24-25 was a particularly busy year for scrutiny, with 19 committee meetings and 5 in-depth task and finish reviews taking place. This work enables members to hold decision makers to account, improve policies and services, and ensure that the Council remains responsive to the needs of our communities. Key areas of focus included budget scrutiny, suggested further improvements for our outstanding blue badge application service, the progress being made in the SEND provision, the council's response to severe flooding following Storm Babette, and the use of technology to support more residents to live more independently in their own homes. Looking forward to 25-26 promises to be another very busy year, and I look forward to working with all the members and officers to continue delivering high quality scrutiny that makes a positive impact for Nottinghamshire residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. I call upon Councillor Stoll, who will second the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm absolutely delighted to second the Scrutiny Annual Report for 24-25, which clearly demonstrates the breadth and depth of work undertaken by the Overview Committee and our select committees over this past year. This report reflects the continued commitment of Scrutiny members to holding decision makers to account and improving services for the people of Nottinghamshire. From budget scrutiny to the Council's response to Storm Babette, to examining the delivery of improvements in SEND provision, the work has been both wide-ranging and impactful. I'd also like to echo the thanks given to all members, past and present, as well as to all officers in helping to deliver meaningful scrutiny in Nottinghamshire. As we look ahead to another busy year, I'm confident that scrutiny will continue to play a vital role in ensuring transparency, accountability, and better outcomes for our residents across the county. Thank you.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I was the chairman of the Place Scrutiny Committee during the last administration near the end. And I want to talk a little bit about that today and say that how important scrutiny is, you know, and its incredible value to democracy, to ensuring that decent decision making happens, because, you know, the reality is no one person has all the answers. It led to a strong delivery of the Nottinghamshire plan. It led to family hubs being looked at. It led to real improvements we saw across the SEND service. It led to libraries being protected and not cut. It led to a blue badge review that ensured that it speeded up the process, something that people were incredibly concerned about. Flood resilience, people have mentioned already the response to Storm Babette, which is not only a very difficult process to go through because, you know, this is a direct effect to people's lives directly into their living rooms. In many ways, a lot of the things that people see in their council arena, they don't really feel in their carpets, in their walls, damaging their photographs and ruining their lives at that point. And it can get into those very important stages. It really takes a deep dive, and it takes a very sincere look at the council's processes, policies, the way that we operate. And that is fundamentally important to the future of this authority and the future of any future or future of any other authority that may appear as LGR completes. Without that strong governance, without that strong ability to look at ourselves, hold a very large mirror against ourselves, and let's be honest, sometimes tell ourselves off for getting things wrong. The only people that would benefit from us not doing that would be, well, I can't think of anybody. It would only be our residents that would suffer from a bad scrutiny process. We looked at technology for independence as well, which was to enable people to live in their homes for longer periods. Something, again, which is incredibly important as we look at the issues with adult social care as you move forward. The sound financial scrutiny of the council as well, again, something that's incredibly important and something that has kept this council standing out above all others in our region as something that we should all be proud of, and, you know, something for you to now look after. It's a prize that should be treated with respect, and a prize that should ensure continues in its current way. Dissenting voices in leadership. I had a very interesting deputy who was with me last time, and it made my job difficult. But can I tell you about that? It was useful for me to have a dissenting voice next to me, because what it did, it made me better, and it made me work harder, and it made sure that everything that we did had all the right checks and balances within it. And I think sometimes when you're under that model and when you're pushed like that, it really gets the best out of people. And, you know, I think we've seen that across this council as it's gone on, that when we do put ourselves under pressure and when we do accept dissenting voices within our ranks as well as within this council, it leads to better overall decision making. So I want to put on my record my thanks to that Deputy Chair, and I want to put on the record the thanks to the other one that followed it, who I had for one meeting, who was also fantastic at what he did. I would just finally to thank the officers who I worked very closely with during that time, Martin Elliott and Catherine as well. They were both really, really helpful, and again did all the hard yards in terms of research and understanding the policies that we had to look at, as well as Mark Walker too, who's involved heavily with one of my other areas, which was around school dinners and ensuring that that was fit for the future. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Councillor Carr, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just a note that there's a bit of a, and it's not the first time I've had to stand up and say this, as Ms Tower will appreciate. Page 287 refers to senders, special education needs and disabilities. It should be and or. That's the proper legal wording. Special education needs and or disabilities. Can I just talk about something that happened? Scrutiny was actually quite difficult in the last administration, but it had some very, very good successes. And one of those was the highways with scrutiny that was done. And it was done by members of council from all parties. And I have to say that any improvements we're seeing now to the road system was as a result of that review and as a result of the Capital Highways programme that was adopted in Q4 of the last administration. It certainly isn't, as in another agenda item in a minute, nothing to do with anything that the current administration have done. Let's that bear in mind. And I would also like to point out that scrutiny and reviews are better done by people from all the groups being part of it and not just members of the Reform Cabinet. Thank you.
Councillor Clooney, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thanks for the staff and everybody who's involved in putting together this report. I'm quite new to the council, obviously, but I'm not new to scrutiny. I used to be the chair on Gedingborough Council when I was on that council, so it's a really area close to my heart. So thanks for the comprehensive report. As a member of this overview committee, though, it offers an insight into the important scrutiny undertaken by this group. I look forward to many new reviews and receiving updates from the previous year's reviews, which I think are highlighted in the report. And I also want to point out about the highways. Obviously, this council has had £29 million from the Labour government to help with the highways. Thank you.
Councillor Introna.
Thanks again, Madam Chairman. I was lucky enough to be chairman of the Children and Families Select Committee and certainly consider it one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done and been involved with professionally. We were working with a fantastic councillor group and a fantastic officer group, and we worked apolitically, and we had support from officers within the team where I've never seen such dedication and professionalism. And I just want to say thank you to them for that. I'd like to mention a few areas, if I may. Family hubs, which is basically support at the heart of the community. Family hubs were a Conservative initiative, but they were supported across the whole spectrum. A new model bringing services together from pregnancy through to early adulthood. Scrutiny welcomed the rollout and highlighted their potential to transform support for children and families. And I've seen some of that within my own division. They stressed the need to raise awareness so families most in need know what's on offer. Certainly, if any of the members in this room get the chance, please go along to your local family hub. I think you'll be majorly impressed. Also, the services include parenting support, help with child development, employment advice and financial guidance, all under one roof, with a fantastic team at NCC helping those needing support. Also, I was proud to be involved in the foster carer review. We had issues with foster carer numbers reducing, and retention was becoming more difficult, particularly with the new private foster carers that were available. As a select committee, we saw a concerted cross-party and county council officer effort to find ways to improve retention and increase the number of foster carers. And that, again, was supported in this council across party. Lastly, just on SEND, we've seen real improvements over the last few years. Scrutiny, it's acknowledged as being clear, measurable progress within the SEND provision of Nottinghamshire County Council. We've got educational psychologists that have increased from 18 to 27. We've got 4 more in training. EHCP timelines improved beyond national averages. There's still a way to go, but we've seen improvements. The inclusion surgeries now give parents practical direct access to advice. Digital tools mean that families can track and access information more easily. The independent expert that we have the honour of inviting to Nottinghamshire County Council, Dame Christine Lenahan, told Scrutiny that Nottinghamshire is on the right track. And that's an endorsement of the approach to partnership and sustainability that we saw over the last few years within Nottinghamshire County Council at a cross-party level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wheeler, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So I really welcome the report. Just by reading through it, you can see the great work that Scrutiny did in the last term. As someone who started the term chairing, was partway through the term chairing a Scrutiny committee and ended up on the cabinet, I had to take taste of my own medicine. I've been grilled in the last year or so by the committee, but something I welcomed. I know my cabinet colleagues did as well, because we were proud of what we were delivering for residents and welcomed the fact for that to be scrutinised and see if there's any way we could improve on that. And one of the committee I went to was the Adult Social Care Committee, which was expertly chaired first by Councillor Roger Jackson and then Councillor John Ogle. And one of the key items I think that we discussed there was the technology-enabled care service that the council delivers. And why that was important was because there were some senior councillors in this room who are no longer here who were scaremongering a bit about the service and put some misconceptions. So actually having the chance to scrutinise that and showing how effective it is and how the fact that residents who use it really welcomed it. 82% of people who use the service showed that they felt more independent. So we saw from that being the public domain that was really helping the staff to go out there and push the technology. And the fact with that service, if it keeps being pushed by the new administration, which I hope it will do, can not only save money for this council, but also gives our residents the chance to feel more independent, to be in their homes for longer, which I'm sure we all welcome. So really welcome the report there. And again, to thank all the members who were on scrutiny for the last administration for the work they did on behalf of the council. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Mason for your right of reply.
Thank you, Chair. Only briefly, I am new to this administration, and I did make a point initially, from the very start, to open up the suggestions for scrutiny to every single member of this authority. Normally, it is only the scrutiny committees that get asked, and I basically insisted that every member got asked. Now, some did take advantage of it, some didn't. But every scrutiny committee, whether it's the overview or the place or families, etc., are cross-party. There is, and if I hear of it, anybody being stopped, asked in questions, I will have to seek redress through the monitoring officer, because you are entitled to ask and you're entitled to grill, and we expect it. It will only make us better, and therefore it will make it better for Nottinghamshire. So please do what you do best, as always, and thank you so much for that's already gone before. We've no problem with acknowledging what has gone before. Thank you so much.
This to note report has been received by the Chamber. Thank you. And I think now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some lunch. So off you go.
At 1:30.